Welcome back to the studio, where today we're going to continue this underwater theme and do a sea turtle. I've seen a lot of requests for turtles recently, so let's do one. We've been using a lot of bright colors recently, and so, which are fun, but I thought we'd just do a more muted palette this time, in case you're trying to sleep or, bright colors aren't your vibe, just to have some diversity out here and also switch it up. So I'm going to be using this palette that I don't know the name of, but it's a Japanese watercolor. I'm going to use this green, the brown, and then I'm not sure how I want to do the background yet. Maybe blue for ocean, but we'll see. There's some kitten zoomy ASMR in the background, naturally. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is draw out our shell, which I'm kind of just gonna make up as I go, but I want it to be angular, and then we'll have all these little segments to fill in as we make the turtle. So I'm going to try and even it out by doing the same number on each side, or the same kind of vibe as I build the shape. And you can do any animal you want. You could do a sea turtle with me, and of course you can just relax also and watch. I don't know how chatty I'm feeling today, but I also feel like I always say that and then talk the whole time, so we'll see how that goes. I'm going to connect these, trying to make these kind of segments so there's a little bit of a curve here, and then we're going to have them start to meet toward the bottom. And that will be our lovely little shell. I think they have a bit of a something shape at the bottom, don't they? Like this maybe? I'm not too familiar with sea turtles. This kind of looks like a funny random leaf. So now let's do that first kind of layer that you have around the outside of the shell. So I'm going to go to all my segments that we made and give them their edges, just like this, trying to stay around the same height for all of them. And they don't need to be the same width, thank God, because they're not. Just like that. And then we can go around and connect them, and if there's a curve on the edge, I'm gonna try and replicate it as we go inward too, just so it looks like as much of a legit sea turtle as can be. And this is the nice chocolatey brown that we used for that piece with the multiple shapes and the box method. If you recognize it, that would be why. Lovely. So then I'm pretty sure they have some kind of hexagon-y shape in the middle. So let's start that here. And then build this kind of pattern diagonally down to the bottom. And I'm not going to do the bottom one yet because I don't know exactly where this diagonal pattern is going to end up, and I don't want it to kind of end here and we'd put it there and we'd effectively boxed ourselves in design-wise. So we'll just go this way and only worry about where we are at the current moment. And then we can do another one. Might bring that down actually. Okay, very nice. And then maybe displays outward like that. And then we can connect these. Like so. Not really sure. But I can't imagine the sea turtle police will come for me. We kind of have 2 extra ones there. Oh well. So then let's do the rest of the shape of the turtle, and then we'll go in and fill in these shapes. So first, let's do a fin. This way. And it's probably a bit like that, isn't it? So let's make this a little longer. Connect down into where it's already wet. So there's a nice blend. Sure. And then we'll want to do the same on the other side. So this is the middle segment, so I went about here. Same kind of thing. And then trying to do, what is it, Milo? The fins, the ripple here again, and then meeting at the tip. And I'm gonna wet my brush and have just a little pigment on it and drag it up like that, so that's kind of matching. Okay, now we have our 2 fins of this dude who's swimming. We can make the neck like this, which is extended out because he's having a swim. And then a little head. Okay, and then we'll do this for now. We'll see how the rest is coming. So then the feet, is this wet? That's actually still wet, so we can't really do that yet. So I think along here, there's kind of a pattern too, right? So let's draw that in, or paint that in. Guys, what's going on? It's playtime for the kittens. Okay, so just like that. And then we'll do the same on this side, just kind of making up where these bits are. I don't know what they're called, but they're kind of reptilian and scaly, almost. It should make for some fun shapes when we get to the actual Zen tangling. Then the head's gonna be the same, sort of. So I'm gonna do a little section, another one. The neck is not like that because that's more kind of scaly. Not scaly. What's it called? Where it can retract into its head. Maybe, sure. How's our wetness over here? Not looking great. Now is a good time then to go and Zen Tangle the insides of the shell while we wait for the rest to dry. Doesn't really matter the order here, especially if you're trying to fall asleep. There's just know there's some paint going on somewhere. So these outside edges are interesting. Not sure what my plan was, but I think they'll just fit about 1 row like that. And we can crisp up the corners, pick up more paint, and do the same thing. Kind of, if we're reverse engineering it, trying to just build a consistent white space throughout all the lines on our paper. And then we use the tip when we need to get very crisp. And whoa, could you hear that very loud car? My dad taught me two things in life. The first was the louder the car, the smaller the you-know-what. And the second was that men are like buses. There's always another one coming. Thanks, Dad. Okay. This is looking a bit like chocolate. So this one is curved, so let's just pay attention to that as we create our line. Being really careful to mimic it in the same way. Oops, we had a little touch there. A little kiss, as we call it. Over here. And then we also have a curve going on here. So need to be very precise with that. Also perfecting the corners. I think that could be a little smoother. Sure. Then this one, I'm gonna go down the middle, get my core line, thicken it up, and then use the tip to expand it into the corners, which are a little further out on this one. In times like this, it's good to think of your Zen Tangle like a puzzle, so you don't have to finish all the sky before you move on. You might kind of be over the sky and then you go work on the house for a little bit or the grass, and that's kind of how this is. Like, we're going to get to the feet, rest assured, but it doesn't really make sense to do that now because of the wetness. So we're just gonna work on this shell. And now we're able to move on to one of the middle panels of the shell. And I'm doing this before I do this because I want to do the highest areas and then move down so my hand doesn't have to sit in anything that's wet and potentially smudge. I've been doing a lot of smudging recently. I mean, it's a joint effort with the kittens a lot of the time, but I can try and work on that. Here is definitely an area where we're just going to use the tip and basically do what we were doing in these guys over here. Lovely. Might even that out a little bit. Okay, and then we'll move on over here. I like to sometimes do everything that would be at around the same angle while my hand's in a position like that, and then flip it to a different place and do the other parts. Just because I kind of can build a little bit of a groove or momentum with that position, and while it's solidified, I may as well make the most of it. Work smarter, not harder. Now this in here, I can probably fit one tiny little dot. So let's find the corner of the brush and just get in there. You know what? I'm glad we didn't do this foot actually, because my hand has to go right there. Everything happens for a reason, I guess. Now we're really trying to smooth out this one. I think we've done it. Kittens are sprinting around the studio. Now let's move back up here a little. This is going to be a very thin line, but we can do it. Okay. So we're kind of working diagonally downward. I just had a weird flashback to Holiday in the Sun. Such a good movie. I guess they do go to Atlantis. This is kind of Atlantis vibes. Right, I think. Haven't watched that in a while. It'd be kind of cool if the whole entire paper was the back of a shell like this, and it was a really intricate one, maybe with lots of different browns. It's a good idea to try. I think a whole series of animal prints up close could be really fun, actually, like zebra print, cheetah. A little kiss going on right there. We'll leave them be. Now this is a little tight space too, so I'm going to take the very tip and just draw in my shape. Ooh. Very, very close. Now here we have the biggest one in the middle, which is fun to do. And then we have this again. Okay, let's try it. I could get a smaller brush, but I don't know. I don't really feel like doing that. I kind of like just the ease of having one tool. If I was painting this for perfection, I would definitely get another brush, but I'm painting it for finding chill. So this brush, however I can make it work, is fab. Okay, then the last one. This is looking surprisingly more like a turtle shell than I had thought. I thought it might just kind of turn into some pattern, but I think there's just the right amount of lines where the actual form is conveyed pretty well. I wonder how the green of the body's gonna look. We'll see. Oop. Sometimes that happens where the paintbrush is in front of where I'm about to paint next, and so I can't always see how far it's going. We have a little collision, but no one got hurt. That's a fun little one. looks kind of different to the rest. For some reason, I guess it's because it has more sides because we have that double panel right here. So I'm going to return to this just while we're back here, being careful to see where the end of my paintbrush goes. So I went a little earlier than I had suspected, and that's okay because I can just fill in the rest after. And crisp the corner. Speaking of crispy, I just recently made homemade sourdough focaccia. My friend Amber's recipe. She taught us how to do it one night, girls' night, and it was so delicious. And then I had it with this really nice chipotle sauce, also homemade. I am living. Okay, now we have this last big-ish panel. Just thinking ahead to how the background is going to look. With the previous ocean one, we made a box method, and I think it might be cool for this one to do a moving outward method, so circling the turtle? Yeah. And then going out just for contrast. So I think that's what I'm gonna do, but we'll see for sure soon. Okay, that is a cute one. I just had a violent craving for apple cider donuts. They're so good. A new ice cream place is, oh God, sorry if that makes you hungry, but has opened near me, and it has really nostalgic flavors. And there's this one called The Last Bite, and it's like the end of a drumstick ice cream. So the cone with the chocolate at the bottom, lots of those mashed up in ice cream with sprinkles. Are you kidding? Delish. Okay, and just like that, we have completed our turtle shell. And if we have a look down here, it's looking dry. So I think we're able to do our little feet. And I want him to look like he's swimming kind of seamlessly. So I want them to be spread out like they're really in action. So maybe like this. So we have our doing both the sides so we get that shape kind of set. And then I'll connect them afterwards like this. And then the same kind of thing over here. So like this. That noise is the kittens jumping about their little cardboard box that I got them in. I don't know if you can even hear that. Anyway, I feel like I'd want to know what it was. So then we're going to add some of this reptile form to his feet. Maybe another one here. And then same on this side. Maybe it goes up to the edge of the shell. Same with here. Okay. Looking fun. Now let's move into this flipper. And so it's going to be a very similar concept to what we did here, where when there isn't much space, we're kind of just going to draw the inside of what it'll be. I'm actually just using the side tip of my brush for this one. That I'm not even going to try. There's not enough space. This I will, of course. And then also in here. That'll do. These are like mini little hills. Nice. Okay, then we have a little bit of a bigger space, and I'm gonna go to here because that I can see properly from where I am. And then to get a little further, I'm just gonna readjust and do that all at one time because the paper starts to curve and I can't quite see it very well. So go down and then we follow our line back up this way. Draw it in. And then I'm going to use the very tip. This painting is going to be interesting because there's going to be the contrast of all these tight little spaces versus the open water. Hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. Okay, that's nice though. Let's move on to the head and the neck and the next flipper. This looks like a little crown, kind of. Just gonna fill in that one, I think, space-wise. And then these are gonna be full fill-ins, I already know. So we can just paint those like normal. This one looks kind of like a little car. This one might actually have empty space in the middle. A tiny bit, yes. And then these can get a tiny bit. Nice little triangle. And then we have our final head shape. Okey-dokes. Onto our flipper. Let's do the top area first this time. So we're going to make our line move along our reptile bits, kind of like we're painting the edge of a puffy cloud. I just did a cloud version of these about 2 weeks ago. If you saw that one, I really liked that one. And then we're going to come back over next to our top area here. And then smooth out that line where they connect. That's definitely too small to put something in, but I think we can try in this panel. This triangle. And I'm going to turn this a little bit so I have a better angle. And we can start to fill these in. one's kind of funny looking. It looks like a little pig without legs. And then here we have a very shallow one, so I'll use the very tip of my brush and do one of those. Okay, nice. Now let's move this around so we can get in a good position for our flippers. That we'll do one at a time, yeah. So straight line along the edge and then following what happens on the bottom. That looks like a longhorn head. It's kind of like you're creating an I Spy for yourself when you're doing these with so many segments, especially. You can try and see what shapes are made. Mini game. And then now we're going to move on to the next and final part of the turtle, which is the flipper on the right. Doing both sides because they're biggest, and then connecting along the bottom, and then filling in, making sure every little section has some kind of color going on. And in there all filled. So let's zoom out a touch and see what we are working with. Okay, cool. I think I want to do blue around the turtle. As we said, that will be the ocean, or whatever he is swimming in, I guess the ocean, and it should kind of have a ripple effect of the water around. Changed out my paint water because it was looking murky, so all clear. And then I actually think what we're gonna do is use this color Seafloor from KMS Watercolors, and it's kind of like the turtle would be swimming in a shallow pool and we're looking down at a bit of a nice reflection. So I'm gonna activate the paint like this. And we're gonna start by doing one Zen Tangle outline around the outside of the entire shape of the turtle. So that means keeping the white space ratio that we have throughout the piece already consistent, so making that same amount of space as best we can. And then using the shape of our turtle as the guide of where our next lines are going to go. And so we're effectively making the bubble letter version of this turtle. We're going to pay attention to all the ways it twists and turns and take those into our next line that we're working on. And I'm going to go just until this fin right here, and then I'm going to move back over to the left side of the turtle and work on that so my hand at the bottom here is free of potential smudging. And I'm going to go back and connect these two. Lovely. And then this is a great section to do a very smooth or long line along the shell. Oop, that fin's still a little wet. Get in the corner right there. This color makes me think of spring break. Oh, somebody named Milo has climbed onto my lap. So now I'm gonna go back over here so I don't smudge when I'm down there. And go all the way around our fin. A little longer than the fin because it's going to need to connect on the other side. And then we'll do the bottom. And there is the connection. Kind of just expanding the whole shape outward into the paper. And there we go. We have our first ring around our sea turtle. Kind of looks cool just like that, but obviously we will keep going. So out of the whole composition of the page, this fin is closest to the top, so that's going to break up the circle shape the quickest. Just an observation, so let's start on that. And then come around and connect and go up. Around the head, carefully as we can. And pretty soon our shapes are going to start to transform, like this segment of the neck got smaller to the point where now it's just going to be a corner. Kind of a wide corner, but the next one fully corner, you see? Then, oh, actually, I stand corrected. This part is the closest to the top. So let's bring this around. And that'll be our last line that divides up this blank area and this blank area on this side. But I'm gonna turn our turtle as we move around. Because at this point, this makes the most sense to prevent smudging and get the best angle and all those things. Just let us peacefully glide along, taking up the paper with our nice seafloor color. Notice here I'm not making up what the shape is between these two fins. I see that it goes like this, and so I'm going to imitate that in my line take this guy around. And then let's connect back over here on this fin. And move down it. We have some little corners going on. I'm really excited to see how this ocean turns out. This is kind of like the St. Lucia Island piece we did, if you remember that one. That was at some point in June. Oh gosh, I hope I'm in the frame here. Just. Okay, and just like that, our second layer is done. So the next time it's gonna go from this side around and then to that side again, and then that will divide this negative space and then this one. So let's do what we can of that in this position, and we'll move the paper if we need to, which I assume will be the case. But now if we just isolate the line that we're working on, the shape is reminiscent of a turtle, but it's not of a turtle anymore, you know? Just kind of cool to see how that organically happens. And then again, just to make the most of our positioning, I'm gonna go down this side and we'll connect them once the time is right. There's no rush. So here we're going to need to get really close to the edge here. So I'm gonna go as far as I can this way, as far up toward the left, and then bring my hand around. How am I gonna do this? I think maybe I'll use the side of my brush. Okay, that wasn't bad. So then that officially cuts things off on this side of the paper. And we're just going to continue this line. Get in the corner there and go around these nice little wiggles. Oopsie daisy. Connect by the tail, and then we're going to pick up again from this side. And very exciting, they're coming close together again. And connect. Let's turn the page and let's tackle this top bit. first. So let's see if we can get a little closer for fun. I'm going to go from this middle crevice down as far as I can. I don't like that part of the paper, as you are aware. Then across the head, which is a nice ripple effect of our turtle. Guys, what are you doing down there? Making a ruckus. Okay, pretty swift. And around, now this is this nice big round shape. You can really see the kind of ripples of this turtle as if it were in still water starting to emerge. And then we take it along the fin after getting really crisp in that corner. There we go. And I'd say we have one more of those until this area is then divided in two. It's fun to watch the sparkles kind of disperse on the paper. Going as far as I can, I know I'm not going to be able to really get it, so I'm not even gonna give too much effort to that and let myself be disappointed. We're just gonna do the best we can. Ooh, I might be able to get it here. There we go. Okay, so then that was a nice surprise. So now we have this little mini upside down mountain over here. Let's do that one first. And another one inside. And then we have this over here. And I would like to do this side first because I know I can get a better angle on that. Once that's sorted, we'll move down. And then we'll just keep repeating that until the page on this side is totally closed out. Oh, kittens. We've somehow, I guess because that went wider, created a little bit of a ripple here. And that we're not going to ignore, we're just gonna take it up into our piece. Okay, now let's have a look at everything we've done. We can move the paper around to work on the rest. Starting on this side. Trying not to get my hand in the frame too much, sorry, but sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. But it won't be forever because there's so many curves in this kind of piece. Guys, following these little contours till we make our way between the little flippers. And back around using these little waves. It's interesting how they've been carried out throughout the piece. Sometimes they get smaller, sometimes they get more exaggerated. I think it just depends on each line after. This is a nice smooth one over here. How fun. So again, we're going to go from this side. Whoa, milkshake. It's hard to paint straight when a cat is jumping on you. Or a kitten, shall I say. They're in the age where they've just worked out they can interact and play with stuff. So my hair, they love to jump on. So here we have another area where the point kind of plateaued and then turned into a point in the other direction, like a little corner. Same thing is about to happen here. So here's our last little plateau until it changes forms. Let's not attack each other on the chair, guys. This is a peaceful area of the studio. That's interesting. It looks like a little eyebrow hair or something that got in the paper when they were making it. A little smudge action over here. So this space between the fins, upper fin and lower fin, is shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. And if the page went on forever, that would also become a point eventually, I think. This shade would make a really nice bikini color. And then, not in a bad way, but just, there's a change, which is, this is going to divide the paper, this line. So this is our last one that's gonna go all the way around what we had left of our turtle. That was a little willy-nilly of me. Okay, let's zoom in to this top corner and work on that, starting at the edge of the page. This line's really kind of flattened out. Interesting. add a little more pigment over there. And then I'm gonna actually come down fully on this one and just edit it slightly, going like that. And then take this to the side. Oh, we have a little more of a wave in there, no pun intended. This one's starting to really flatten too, and we'll for sure get another point. And maybe in 2 or 3, but we don't need to worry about that yet. There's our little volcano tip happening. And our first full point in this corner. And then in the corners in a kind of piece like this, you really get into a groove because it's not the same shape, but the same kind of pattern of how your hand goes. And so it really becomes a quick little muscle memory thing. And I feel like I'm able to do it faster. But maybe it's also just a small area, I don't know. Wow, that looks like a little wave. That's so funny how that has naturally happened. And then we've made another point. Point's kind of transferred where it is. And then we'll just fill in the little, this bit there. Okay. Now, we just have the bottom of our milkshake, the bottom of our picture, which let's see how one line of this does. It's gonna touch the page here before the sides, so it will divide again. And until then, we'll just keep swimming along. We have this little cute triangle that we'll get. Okay, how fun. You know what I think we'll do actually is that going to work? I'm trying to find the best place to put this in. Maybe like that. Oh, not like this because I really need to lift my wrist so that I don't get it wet, but we have started. So let's just finish this one. We can always move it after. So pick up in this corner and drag around the ripple of the fin. Sometimes it can be described like an echo too of the shape, which I like. And then I'm gonna do this bit here because it's bigger, and then connect. So we tried that, didn't love it. We're gonna move again. Okay, that fits pretty well. Let's give it a go. into that corner and then down. I'm gonna clean that up, don't worry. Just gonna take this as far as it'll go, which seems to be pretty far. Some nice pigment chunks in there. Oh, someone is awake. Look at this fun circle we have underneath the handmade paper there too. I haven't made paper in the longest time, so I don't really remember how exactly that happens. I know it's a fiber of some sort, but I really want to make my own soon. I just haven't really put it as a priority, so I haven't found the time to do it. But I will eventually, or something will happen that I'll turn it into a priority and then I'll make the time. Tends to be how these things go. Okay, we're really coming to the edge of our paper on this side too. It can be hard to tell with the deckled edge, so once that's crisped out, let's lift this and see. Okay. There we go. And now we just have this bottom. This part that we're starting to make is, oopsie daisy, sorry, is really looking like a Japanese Zen garden with the sand and the rake. And we've made another corner area. See, there's kind of a pattern of what shapes start to be made once you start doing a few of these. Kind of feels like you're seeing an old friend, which is a very nice feeling. Now let's check on the edge of this paper. Okay, we have the space to go along, but I'm going to lift up the paper as we do that just so I can see what I'm working with here. We don't go over. That we can do. Okay, let's push this up a tad. Are we gonna get enough in for that to turn into a point? I wonder. I feel like maybe. We're not gonna force it though. If it's meant to be, it'll be. Maybe you don't even like when it turns into a point. Either works. I kind of like it because I call this one the volcano, this shape that happens, because it's just a bit exciting. It's like some kind of change, like the new verse in a song or something. Gonna clean that slightly. It's for sure gonna turn into a point. Look at that. We can do this corner, yes. Again, might have to lift it up for visibility because this paper is so delicate. Okay, I'm gonna turn this so my hand is not at threat. Smudge, oh my gosh, sorry, I don't know why I keep doing that. And going along our path we've made for ourselves. Up and then down. Very nice. Okay, so we've got to a point in all of the 5 different, well, let me show you what I mean, 5 different sections. So this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. But once we close out the section, we'll spend just a few little moments analyzing the piece together. And then hopefully send you off into your sleep or the rest of your day, whatever time it is for you. For me, I don't even want to look at the time because I still have a lot to do today. but I wanted to do this now because I was feeling a little overwhelmed about how much I had to do. So why not spend an hour doing a sparkly painting that solves everything, right? Kinda, because then I'll feel better when I go to do the rest, just feel a little less cluttered because I've had my personal downtime. It is a bit sad when they end though, but I really like how this one turned out. I love that we're doing all different kinds of ones in this book now. I'll still do plenty of single colored ones because I like doing that, A, when I get new colors, and B, I don't know, just find it fun and calming. And those little bits. And there we go. Okay, let's get a nice little bird's eye view of our turtle. And look at the paint is so shimmery. How cool is that? So we have a bunch of shapes going on here. It kind of looks like it's going inward, and there's like different currents maybe that are pulling the turtle, and as he moves his little flippers, it makes these patterns in the water, you know, all imaginary but still fun. I really like the combo of the shimmery water with the matte turtle. Anyways, this was nice, and now I feel ready to go do my chores. And then, obviously, I will watch Love Island and go to bed. Thanks for painting with me again. Let me know what you want to see next. And I will see you then.